Hey all, so I've gotten a bunch of questions from you guys, which I can't wait to answer. So we're gonna have ourselves a Q&A video. Hello lovelies, my name is Mamta and welcome to my channel GeekGlitz, in which I talk about all things geek and all things glitz. I make loads of fandom and fashion videos and many Harry Potter videos, so feel free to browse through my channel to check out some of my past videos. I wanted to start off this video by saying thank you so much for 400 subscribers. I just recently hit it and it's just mind-blowing to me. I am so happy that 400 of you have decided to come along with me on this journey and to watch me speak about my passions and Harry Potter. It just really means a lot to me, so thank you so much for your support. So let's go ahead and get started on these questions. I asked for questions from you guys regarding things you'd want to know about me, about my life, Instagram, YouTube, fandom, Harry Potter, anything that you wanted to know, and you guys really delivered. So let's go ahead and get started. So before I delve into the questions that you guys submitted for this video, I decided that I am going to give you a couple of basic facts about me. These are some frequently asked questions that I get over DM, so I just thought it would be good to start off with those. So first of all, my name is Mamta. I live in Hong Kong. And I was born and raised in Taiwan, which is another country that's pretty close to China and Hong Kong, Southeast Asia. And then I spent about 4.5 years in the States as well, living in Missouri, because that's where I went for university. And I studied computer science, so I have a bachelor's and master's in it. So I've lived in Hong Kong for the last 7 years, and I work as a manager in my father's export trading company. So that is my day muggle job, and my family and friends mean a lot to me. And I know most people would say that, but it's really true. They do mean a lot to me. And let me see, I'm 31 years old. So yes, I'm a bit on the older side, but I think you're never too old to love Harry Potter or other fandoms. So I think that covers a lot of the basic questions that I get frequently on Instagram or via DM. And now I'm going to get into the questions that you guys asked me. So I'm sorry in advance if I end up butchering any of your usernames. I'm just going to try my best to pronounce them. So the first question is from Weasley's Quidditch, who is actually one of my first friends from Instagram. And he wants to know which character's wand is my favorite. And that's a really good question. I would have to say it's a tie between 3 wands. I really like Hermione's wand, Sirius's wand, and Snape's wand. And I think what they have in common is that they're all very sleek and thin. Plus they have these like gorgeous designs and carvings on them. So it just makes them really beautiful. And I think I actually have all 3 of them courtesy of Geekier's World of Wizardry boxes. So I'm really glad that I have all 3 of those in my collection, and they are my absolutely favorite wands. So Weasley's Quidditch also wants to know what are my top 3 fandoms other than Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts. And this question was also asked by the Ravenclaw Princess 1 and Platform 934 Station. They all want to know what are my other fandoms that I'm into. So I'm gonna say Game of Thrones, because I'm a huge fan of the show, and it's funny that I consider it one of my top fandoms even though I haven't actually read the books yet, though I do own them now. But I just love the show so much. I think it's really well made, so Game of Thrones definitely has to be one of my top fandoms. And I think I'm also really into Disney. I love going to the theme parks. I love watching all the movies, so Disney is definitely in my top 3 as well. And I think growing up, I really liked Beauty and the Beast. That was my favorite Disney animation. So I was really happy that they remade that recently. And I really liked Coco as well from the recent movies. And I know that's kind of Disney Pixar, but it was so good. And I really like Marvel as well. And I know Disney technically owns Marvel, but you gotta think of Marvel movies on their own somewhat, I think, because it's just all about the superheroes and stuff. I just love everything about it. And Infinity War, oh my god, don't get me started on Infinity War, but I just love all Marvel stuff as well. I watch all the movies. I actually haven't read many of the comics, but I do enjoy the movies a lot, so I'm gonna say Marvel. And I think other fandoms that I'm into include Supernatural. I love watching the show. And I'm also really into the Shadowhunter Chronicles by Cassandra Clare. So I really like the Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, and all. And I just keep reading all of her books. So yeah, those are just a couple of the fandoms that I'm really into. And I am sure there are a lot more. But those are just a few to give you a couple of ideas. But yes, Harry Potter is always my number one, as well as Fantastic Beasts. So my good friend, the Hufflepuff Queen 1, you should check out our channel if you haven't, wants to know, when did you first discover Harry Potter and did you go to any book launches? And a similar question was also asked by the Ravenclaw Princess 1, and she wanted to know, how did I get to know Harry Potter? So I'm coupling these questions together and I'm going to answer them. So I first got to know Harry Potter when I was 12 years old, and I discovered the books in the Hong Kong airport. So this is actually before I lived in Hong Kong. I was a child and I was on my way in transit going to India, and I wanted to pick up some books from the bookstore. So I happened to come across Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets, and I picked them both up at once. And the moment I read these books, I was just completely hooked, and my journey just began from there. And I actually did a whole video on my Harry Potter story and how I discovered it and about my experiences with each of the books in my coloring storytime video. So I'm gonna link to it here if you guys wanted to check it out. And yes, I have been to one midnight release / book launch party, and that was completely by fluke, and it was for Goblet of Fire in Los Angeles at midnight. And I was planning on buying the book on release day from any bookstore and just picking it up, but we were out the night before and we just happened to come across the bookstore and there was a line going on, so we stood in it. I got my book, and I just really remember this experience because it was my one and only midnight launch party. And I wasn't dressed up or anything because it was completely unplanned, but I just remember it being so happy and excited to be among fellow Potterheads and for getting my hands on the book a day earlier than I had planned. Well, I guess a night earlier than I had planned. So yes, that's an experience I really treasure. So the next question I have is from the Ravenclaw Princess 1 again, and it's, what's my favorite piece of Harry Potter merch? And the Free Hufflepuff also wants to know this, like, what's my favorite piece of merch that I own? So it actually changes from time to time depending on my mood or what I've gotten new or something. And I think currently it would have to be the Bolt Backpack by Danielle Nicole, which I did a review on before. I am carrying this backpack every day. I just really love it. Let me just get it for you guys. So here it is, and it's quite heavy because I've actually filled it up with stuff since I've been using it every day, like I said. And I think it's quite gorgeous, and I love having a bit of Potter on me everywhere I go. So it's definitely my current favorite merch. So the next question is from Pinky Girl 513, and she wants to know, other than Harry Potter books, what is my favorite book that I've read? And since I've already talked about the Shadowhunters and that being a fandom that I love, I'm going to actually talk about another book here, and that would be A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. And I love this series. It is so good, and it also has a bit of fantasy and magic in it, and it's about this like college professor who's actually a witch, and it's about her discovering her magic or her history with her magic, I guess. And it's just really good. There's vampires in there, there's demons, but it's not the kind of demons you would think. It's really interesting, and I love that it mixes a bit of history in there and a bit of romance as well. It's geared towards like adults more because it's kind of like adult fiction, but it's still really well written, and I really like the way it weaves like magic into everyday society in this book as well. So yes, I would definitely recommend it, and that's one of my favorites for sure. So Pinky Girl 513 also wants to know, if I were to have a job in the wizarding world, what would it be? What department in the ministry, or a shop in Diagon Alley or Hogsmeade? So I think actually I would love to teach, maybe be a charms teacher at Hogwarts, because charms is actually my favorite subject. I think it's very useful, so I'd like to teach that. But if not a teacher, I would also be fine with being a librarian at Hogwarts. And if I had to choose between the Department of Ministry or a shop in Diagon Alley or Hogsmeade, I would think I would work at Flourish and Blots because I just really love books. So I think that would really work for me. So a good friend of mine, Platform 934 Station, also wants to know, will I post Instagram pics of other fandoms? And yes, I will be. I've already posted a couple, like of Riverdale, so that's another fandom that I like. And I think I've posted some Disney stuff before as well. And I've posted Game of Thrones and Supernatural, so yes, I think I will mix it up from time to time and feature other fandoms, but it's still primarily going to be mostly Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, but I'm open to posting other stuff as well. So Platform 934 Station also wants to know, what are my favorite books other than Harry Potter? And I already talked about the Shadowhunter books and A Discovery of Witches, but a couple of my other favorites are the Throne of Glass series, which I'm currently on, and I think they're really good. I've not finished them yet, but I've been enjoying them so far. I also really like the Hunger Games trilogy. I think they were really well written. I also love anything by Lucy Nisley. She does graphic novels, but I just think they're incredible. So yes, those are a couple of my other favorites. Okay, so she also wants to know what are some of my best and worst habits. So yes, tough one, but an interesting question. Let's start off with the worst first. I think my worst habit is that I'm definitely an overthinker. So I'm one of those people that goes, what if this happens? What if that happens? And I'll drive myself crazy into a spiral just thinking about these possible scenarios that could possibly happen. And it drives me nuts sometimes. So I have definitely tried to not do that as much. And I think I've been getting better at it. But it has been a worst habit of mine so far, I guess. But better now. So in terms of best habits, I think I'm extremely organized. So I keep a planner of things that I'd like to complete in a day, and then I check them off. And I think I'm pretty good about doing that, like completing things that I set out to do. And especially if I've promised to do something for someone, I'll make sure I'll do it for sure. So I think that's one of my better habits for sure. So another good friend of mine, Quibbler and Prophet, wants to know, what do you love most about Harry Potter fandom, and what do you think draws people to it? So what I love most about it is actually the sense of community that I found, and I think that's specifically on Instagram. It's been one of the best things, just to have a group of people that you could talk Potter with, and everyone's so friendly, so it's been really nice having that space to do that. But what I think draws people to it, and this might not necessarily be Instagram specific, but just generally about the Harry Potter fandom, I think the fact that it's very magical. It's kind of like having this whole magical area in your real life. Kind of allows you to escape in a way and to feel the sense of connection with one another again. I think that's what draws people to it. Just to have this common thing that we can all be a part of and celebrate. And I think that's what fandom does. It creates these passions among people and brings them together. So that's definitely one of the best parts about it. So Gryffindor Warrior wants to know, who or what inspired you to make a YouTube channel? And I think this is a great question. So in terms of who, there are a couple of who's, because I've been watching YouTube for a very long time. So I think one of my main who's is Superwoman. I've been watching her forever, and I just think she's very inspirational, the way she started her YouTube channel. And I watch her vlogs, and I think they're very motivational. They get you pumped, and she's got this whole like positive energy, positive thinking vibe to her, which I really like. And I think you've got to apply that to your life. I think since I've watched her, I've become a more positive person as well, and just been more gung-ho about getting things done in my life and being motivated. So she's definitely been a huge influence in me starting my own YouTube channel, because it's something I realized that I wanted to do as well. And in terms of Potter YouTubers that inspired me to start my own YouTube channel, would have to include Cherry Wallace, Tessa Netting, Demi Seriously, The Bakey, and many, many more. But you know what's a great thing? Is that since I've started, I've also discovered a lot more YouTubers that continue to inspire me. And that would include the Hufflepuff Queen, Nifflers and Nargles, The Greg Who Lived, Quickspell Co., The Potter Collector. It's just been so great discovering so many more and continuing to be inspired. And in terms of what inspired me to start my YouTube channel, I think I just really wanted a space in which I could talk about my passions, such as Harry Potter, and just have a space that I can be creative. So that's something that I've been really enjoying as well. So the next question is from Amy.Imogen5, and she wants to know, do I like Friends, the TV show? And if so, who is my favorite character? And yes, I love Friends. It's one of the shows that I feel like I can watch anytime. Like, it's one of those shows I leave on in the background while I'm doing other stuff and just zone out to it, because it's just so good. It's like one of those comfort shows that you have, you know? So I think that's Friends for me. I can quote a lot of the lines, so I love it. And my favorite character would have to be Chandler, because I think he's funny, he's hilarious, and I love how sarcastic he gets. So yes, I love Friends. So the next question I have is from It's MGem, and she wants to know, what's my favorite memory that I associate with Potter? And this question was also asked to me by Little Miss Cassie, who said, what's my earliest best memory of Harry Potter? And also similar question was asked by Undesirable Number 1. And she asked, what was your first experience of Harry Potter? And what is your favorite memory of Harry Potter? So to all of them, I would say that my earliest memory was actually that memory which I described before, which was when I discovered the Harry Potter books in the Hong Kong bookstore. the first two books. So that's my earliest memory that I'd associate with it. And I think my favorite memory would be the time I went to the Wizarding World. The first time I went to the Wizarding World theme park in Orlando. I just remember being really happy, excited, overwhelmed. It was just a bunch of emotions rushing to me the first time I walked into Hogsmeade and towards Hogwarts. This was in 2011, so only Hogsmeade was open at that time. And it was just an incredible experience just to be part of that world, like to see something that you've only read on page and seen visually on screen, to finally be immersed in that space. That was something that was really incredible to me, and I'd love to go back. I've been back once before. I've seen Diagon Alley as well. And I just remember when I went there, just sitting on one of the benches and just soaking it all in, like just soaking in the atmosphere and really feeling that moment, that fact that I was there. And that was something that I truly cherished, this memory of going there and just being able to experience it. So Rabo2506 wants to know, if I could own one bit of merchandise that I don't already own, what would it be? And I would have to say that's the Ravenclaw diadem by Noble Collection. I really hope to add it one day into my collection. I think it's a gorgeous item. But what's kind of kept me off from buying it so far is the fact that it's kind of pricey, and also you can't wear it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think you can actually put it on. I think it's just meant to be a collectible. But correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, I would totally have tried to wear it at some point, you know, like for Halloween or cosplay purposes or something like that. So I do think regardless of that, I do hope to add it into my collection one day. So definitely a bucket list merch item. So another good friend of mine, Fantastic Wizardly Love, wants to know, how does your family cope with your Harry Potter craziness? And that is a great question. I think they think I'm a bit nuts for sure, for loving it so passionately, but I think they know it makes me happy, so they're kind of fine with it. And I think when I was growing up as a child, I would talk about it a lot more, but now I don't talk about it as much with them. Maybe occasionally on the off chance sometimes, or when I'm talking about YouTube and Instagram maybe, but not that much. So I think they're fine with it. They probably don't wish I would spend all my money on buying merch and stuff, probably, but they don't actually say that to me much. I think they know ultimately that it makes me happy, so they're okay with it. So I think that's how they deal. And she also wants to know, what makes me feel like a true Ravenclaw in my everyday life? And this is a great question. So I think that would be my work. Like, I'm a manager, so I have to manage people, and sometimes even dealing with certain situations that come up, it requires me to think outside of the box. So that's definitely my Ravenclaw aspect chiming in when I need to do that. And I think it also comes into my YouTube and Instagram life, because that requires me to be creative, so I can see a bit of my Ravenclaw-ness creeping in when I'm trying to think of picture ideas for Instagram or video ideas for YouTube. So I definitely feel like a Ravenclaw in my everyday life. So that's it for all the questions, and there were quite a few of them, but I really enjoyed the process of digging deep and trying to get to know myself better in order to answer these questions. So thank you so much to all of you who submitted them, because I really appreciate that you took the time to do that. So leave me a comment and let me know what you guys thought of this video, and if you'd like me to do future Q&A videos as well, because I really enjoyed this. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and please subscribe to my channel GeekGlitz for more things geek and more things glitz, as I make videos every week. And feel free to connect with me on all my other social media, which I've listed below in the description. I'm especially very active on Instagram, so come check me out there and feel free to DM me. Thank you for watching, lovelies. See you in the next video. Bye!